She's not going to look you in the eyes and say, I want to sleep with you. That's not how most women communicate desire, especially not in a culture where being too forward still comes with judgment. Instead, she's going to speak in coded language, send subtle invitations, and use soft signals to gauge how you respond. And here's the kicker. She's doing this not because she's playing games, but because she wants to maintain her image, protect her vulnerability, and still see if the connection has enough depth, tension, and safety to go further. If you're not paying attention, or worse, if you're chasing her too aggressively, you'll miss every single one of these green lights she's quietly throwing your way. And that's where stoicism comes in. Not the stiff, emotionless stereotype most people think of, but the real stoic mindset, grounded awareness, people's self-control, and reading the moment without forcing an outcome. A stoic man doesn't try to decode every word with desperation. He simply observes, lets her talk, and lets her feel safe expressing desire in her own language. When a woman is interested, her words will reveal more than she wants to admit. And if you know what to listen for, you'll start hearing the things she's really saying. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 subtle phrases women say when they want to sleep with you. Don't want to sound like they do. These aren't guesses. These are recurring patterns that men miss all the time. Once you understand these signals, you'll stop trying to chase clarity and start naturally attracting the right kind of energy. Ready? Let's get into it. Number 1, you're not like other guys. When a woman says you're not like other guys, most men hear it and instantly get flattered. They take it as a compliment. And sure, on the surface it is, but underneath that phrase carries way more weight than just flattery. It's one of the most indirect ways a woman signals that she sees you as different, not just intellectually or emotionally, but sexually. She's comparing you to every other man she's ever dealt with. Men who maybe pushed too hard, talked too much, acted needy or predictable. And by saying this, she's letting you know you've passed a subtle test. You've managed to stand out without trying too hard. You've triggered her curiosity and emotional safety at the same time. Now here's where most guys mess up. They hear that line and immediately lean into it with ego. They start over-explaining, or worse, they start acting like they're not like other guys. Stereotype just to keep her attention. That a stoic man doesn't react that way. He receives the compliment without getting attached to it. He knows that this phrase isn't the finish line, it's the invitation. She's feeling something and she wants to see how you handle it. If you get needy, she'll feel it. If you stay composed, keep the same calm presence that drew her in, she'll lean in closer. This phrase is her way of saying, I could see myself trusting you in ways I don't. You usually trust other men, and in the right moment, that trust can turn into intimacy on her terms, in her timing, because you made her feel safe to go there. Let her talk. Let her open up. The more you try to convince her you're not like other guys, the more you start sounding exactly like them. The secret is you don't say you're different. You show it by how still you are, how little you need her validation, and how attentively you listen when she speaks. Number 2, I don't usually do this. But when she says, I don't usually do this, but she's not giving you a disclaimer, she's giving you permission. This phrase is a classic form of plausible deniability, a subtle way for her to act on desire while keeping her self-image intact. And in today's world, where women are still judged for expressing sexuality too openly, this sentence is her emotional shield. It lets her move forward without feeling like she's betraying her standards, her friends, expectations, or even her own inner critic. So when she drops this line, she's actually handing you the key wrapped in a ribbon of fake hesitation. It's not doubt, it's permission with a seatbelt on. What most men do wrong here is they challenge it. They either say, oh, really? You don't, with a cocky grin, or they try to lighten that moment by teasing her. But what she's looking for isn't a reaction, it's presence. A grounded man, a stoic man, hears that phrase and understands the psychology behind it. He doesn't make it about himself. He respects the fact that she's making herself vulnerable in her own way and doesn't need to be pushed to go further. That kind of man creates an atmosphere where she can take off the mask without fear. She doesn't have to pretend anymore. She can just feel without being judged. You want an example? Imagine you're at her place after a night out, And she's looking at you with those slightly nervous, half-excited eyes. Then she says it, I don't usually do this. But in that moment, your energy matters more than your words. You don't rush. You don't joke. You just look at her, let the silence sit for a second, and keep the moment steady. She'll feel safe in that. And safety for most women is what unlocks the door to real intimacy. Number 3, are you staying over tonight? Sounds casual, doesn't it? Like she's just wondering, like it's no big deal, but make no mistake, when she drops the line, are you staying over tonight? She's not really asking a logistical question. She knows you can Uber home. She knows you have a place. She's not checking your schedule. What she's really doing is opening a door softly, indirectly, without saying the words she doesn't want to say outright. This question is loaded. It's not about sleep. It's about tension, attraction, permission. It's about testing the air between you two, whether it's still light and safe, or if it's charged, masculine, undeniable. And more than that, it's a way for her to engage without looking too easy. It gives her an out if you react wrong. But if you respond right, she's already made her decision. Now, here's the mistake most men make when they hear this. They get excited. They assume it's a green light, and they rush into performance mode. They start talking too much, over-explaining, joking nervously. Oh, I mean, if you're cool with that, I don't want to intrude unless you're hinting at something. You can feel the eagerness behind the words, the hopefulness, the need. And just like that, the tension dies. See, women don't want to lead the dance. They want to signal, and they want you to lead. That question is her way of checking. Can you feel this moment? Can you stay calm, grounded, steady, even when the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife? A man with a weak frame needs confirmation. A man with a strong frame, he doesn't need to ask where things are going. He's present, observant. He picks up the shift in her energy, the softness in her voice, the slower blink, the way she looks at your mouth, not just your eyes. She's not saying it out loud, but her body already has. And when she asks that question, the correct response isn't logic, it's presence. It's holding the eye contact just half a second longer. It's that stillness before you speak. It's the quiet confidence that says, we both know what you're asking. I'm not rushing. I'm not pushing. I'm here. Let's see what this moment becomes. If you say yes, say it without over-explaining. If you say no, say it without guilt. Your strength is in not needing the moment to go one way or another. You're not there to prove anything. You're not desperate for outcome. That's what makes you different. Now, let's go deeper. Why doesn't she just say what she wants? Because there's a story she's told herself and a story she knows. The world tells about women who move too fast. She's been raised to keep some mystery, to appear in control, to avoid regret. So when she wants to move forward, she does it with ambiguity, with just enough plausible deniability that if it goes wrong, she can say, oh, I didn't mean it like that. This isn't deception. This is protection. She's inviting you in, but she's not throwing herself at you. She's handing you the steering wheel and waiting to see if you can drive like a man. And this is where stoicism becomes your advantage. Because a stoic man doesn't flinch in high-pressure moments. He doesn't jump at the bait. He doesn't panic when a woman gets soft, emotional, vulnerable. He holds space. He creates stillness. He doesn't need the outcome. So, ironically, he becomes the man most likely to get it. So, when she asks, are you staying over tonight? Read between the lines changes everything. Number 4, we probably shouldn't be doing this. Let's not lie to ourselves when she says, we probably shouldn't be doing this. She already knows she's doing it. She's not warning you. She's telling you she's stepping into a moment that breaks the usual rules she lives by, and deep down she wants to know if you can handle that shift or if you'll collapse under the pressure. This phrase is one of the most loaded sentences you'll ever hear in a romantic context. It's spoken right at the edge, not the beginning of a connection, not the end, but in that electric moment where the energy between you two is crackling and rising. There's eye contact, close proximity, maybe a pause, maybe a touch, and then she drops it. We probably shouldn't be doing this now. A reactive man hears that and pulls away fast. He takes it literally. He panics. He thinks, okay, she's putting the brakes on. She's not ready. I've pushed too far. So he backs off, starts apologizing, changes the subject, and just like that, the moment is gone. But a stoic man hears something else. He hears her internal conflict not as a stop sign, but as a signal that her desire is strong, but she doesn't want to own it. She wants to feel safe letting you lead without risking her image. She wants to feel like the moment happened to her, not because of her. This is where the concept of plausible deniability plays in again. If things progress, she wants to feel like you were the one who guided it so she doesn't carry the guilt of making it happen. So here's the key. When she says, we probably shouldn't be doing this, what matters most is how you respond, not with words, but with presence. Don't explain, don't overtalk, don't try to argue her out of it. Don't make jokes to cut the tension, just hold eye contact. Breathe slow, let the silence stretch, not awkwardly, but confidently. That stillness, it tells her everything. It says, I hear you and I'm not going anywhere. Not physically, not emotionally, not energetically. It tells her you're not rushing, not pressuring, not flinching, because the moment is already here. She's in it with you. She just needs to feel that it's safe to keep going. Not safe in the soft do whatever you want kind of way, but in the solid masculine way where nothing needs to be forced. Now think about what this phrase really reveals. It's not about boundaries. It's about tension. She's testing. Can he hold the heat without folding? Can he let me wrestle with this desire and not take it personally? Can he be still while I work through this moment emotionally? Women aren't always looking for a yes or no. They're looking to see what kind of man they're with. If you lean in too hard, she'll recoil. If you pull away too fast, she'll feel alone in the moment. But if you stay grounded, you don't need her to decide instantly. If you can sit in the storm without fear, she'll feel more seen than she ever has. Because the truth is, a lot of men are fragile when it comes to female hesitation. They either try to fix it or run from it. But the real strength is in holding the space, letting her be torn and not needing to rescue her from it. That's when she sees your difference. That's when she feels your steadiness. And that's what builds the kind of trust that turns physical tension into emotional depth. Not just one night heat, but long-term connection. So next time you hear, we probably shouldn't be doing this, don't react, just notice. Notice her tone, her breathing, her posture. Realize she's not saying no. She's saying, this is intense, and your job isn't to rush it or break it. Your job is to stand still and let it become whatever it's meant to. Because that calm, grounded energy, that's what makes her feel safe doing exactly what she just said she shouldn't. Number 5, what would you do if we were alone right now? This question isn't about words. It's about presence. When a woman looks at you and asks, what would you do if we were alone right now? It's not just flirtation. It's not just playfulness. It's a psychological feeler. She's testing the space between curiosity and control. She's wondering not just what you'll say, but how you'll say it, how you'll hold it, how you'll react. You have to understand that moment is not random. It doesn't come out of nowhere. She's already felt something. She's already pictured something. She already knows what you might do. What she's doing now is checking, can you stay composed under pressure? Can you lead energy without leaking it everywhere? Most men fail right here badly. They either get giddy and say something explicit, trying too hard to sound bold, or they get awkward and try to be funny to escape the tension. Both are just fear in different outfits. One overcompensates, the other avoids, but neither is attractive. Neither is masculine. Neither makes her feel safe because what she's truly seeking in that moment isn't a fantasy. It's your emotional command. She wants to know if you can stand in heat without combusting. She wants to see if you get flustered when sex energy enters the room, or if you breathe through it like a man who's seen this before. See, she doesn't want your fantasy. She wants your frame. And when your frame is solid, you realize you don't need to give her an answer. You are the answer. You might smile slightly. Let silence stretch, tilt your head, and say something grounded like, we both know the answer to that, but you're not ready to hear it. Or maybe you just hold eye contact for a second longer than expected. Nothing over the top, just a signal I see the game you're playing, and I'm not shaken by it. That's the difference. Because here's the deeper truth. That question is her way of giving herself permission. She's looking for leadership, not logistics. If she can feel that you won't explode, rush, or start performing like every other guy, she'll lean into the moment further. But if you get reactive, if you joke, deflect, explain, worse, overshare, you take her out of the moment. You kill the very vibe she was trying to build. Why do you think she didn't just act on her feelings instead of asking? Because asking gives her protection. If it goes wrong, she can walk it back. Oh, I was just teasing. But if you respond with calm strength, she gets what she wanted without risk. That's the dynamic. This is where your stillness becomes seductive, where your restraint becomes rare, where your masculinity creates an emotional container that makes her feel safe enough to express the part of herself that most men never get access to. Here's the kicker. If you can pass this test, she won't need to keep testing because now she knows you're different. You're not here to convince her. You're not chasing validation. You're not trying to impress. You're grounded in who you are. You're not flattered by attention because you already own your presence. Let that sink in. You don't need a perfect line. You need perfect stillness. You don't need to explain your intent. You need to embody it. You don't need to take the bait. You need to own the moment. This one sentence, what would you do if we were alone right now? It's not a pickup line. It's a threshold. Step through it, wrong, and she'll vanish. Step through it, right, and you'll never have to chase again. Now, if you've ever heard that line and fumbled the moment, you're not alone. Drop this in the comments. I felt that. And don't go anywhere just yet, because once you start recognizing these silent invitations, you unlock a power most men never even know exists. And what you'll see next will change how you move forever. Number 6, this feels so wrong, but so right. When she says, this feels so wrong, but so right, she's not asking for clarity. She's not waiting for your opinion. She's already deep in it emotionally, mentally, and physically. What she's really doing is narrating a moment that's both thrilling and terrifying for her. She's feeling the gravity of what's unfolding, and she's admitting to you, and more importantly, to herself, that the moment has weight. It's not a throwaway phrase. It's a confession, a whispered truth wrapped in contradiction. Because on the surface, yeah, the phrase sounds like internal conflict, like she's second-guessing what's happening between you two. But don't be fooled. She's not pulling back. She's leaning in. She's admitting that she's crossed a line mentally. The wrong part is the tension between her upbringing, her expectations, her self-image, and a very real, very human desire to feel something she doesn't always give herself permission to feel. So now she's looking at you. How are you going to hold this space? Most men, again, will misread this. They'll take it literally and start trying to reassure her. No, it's not wrong. Don't worry. This is natural. They'll try to convince her. Or they'll joke it off. Or worse, they'll use it as a green light and try to push things further immediately. All of that weak energy. Because this phrase isn't a request for comfort. It's a moment of vulnerability. It's an edge. It's a woman saying, this moment is powerful. Are you grounded enough to carry it with me? What she doesn't want is a guy who's so eager for what comes next that he misses what's already here. A stoic man doesn't jump in to fix the discomfort. He welcomes it. He understands that tension is part of polarity, that when something feels so wrong but so right, that's not a red flag. It gets a signal that the moment is alive, rich, and unpredictable. That's what attraction is made of. Polarity, opposites, the balance between chaos and structure, softness and strength, risk and control. And right now, she's feeling all of that. Your job, don't ruin it. Hold eye contact. Let the words hang in the air. Don't rush to speak. Don't over-explain. Don't try to rationalize something that's not meant to be rationalized. Let her feel what she feels, and let her feel that you aren't shaken by it. She's saying, I know this might change things. I know this might not make sense, but I'm here. I'm choosing it anyway. That's powerful. That's rare. And that deserves your full attention, not your nervous impulse to smooth it over. Now let's zoom out for a second. Why is this moment so fragile? for her because she's lived in a world that tells her to always be in control, to protect her reputation, to follow the rules, to be the gatekeeper. And now in this moment with you, all of that slipping, and instead of fighting it, she's voicing it. This feels so wrong, but so right. She wants you to hear her, not to solve it, not to downplay it, just to witness it without losing your calm. And that's where most men get it wrong. They either freeze up and get scared, or they rush forward and try to capitalize. But the Stoic path is clear. Be the eye in the storm, still present, unmoved. Let her feel your calm. Let her feel your control. Let her see that you're not surprised by the weight of the moment. You've been here before. You can handle this. You don't need to force the next step because you're already deeply in this one. That's what earns trust. That's what builds the bond. That's what makes you unforgettable. And in that energy, in that quiet strength, she stops questioning what's right or wrong. She just feels safe enough to keep going. Now, if you've ever been in that moment and didn't know what to do, comment below. I felt that. Because learning how to hold that kind of space without saying too much, doing too much, or ruining it with overthinking, that's where men separate from boys. And once you get this, you'll never look at tension the same way again. Number 7, I don't want to regret this later. When she says, I don't want to regret this later, she's not rejecting the moment. She's not asking you to stop. What she's really doing is handing you the emotional weight of what's about to happen and waiting to see if you can hold it without flinching. This line isn't about fear, it's about protection. She's protecting her future self from judgment, guilt, or shame. Not necessarily from you, but from herself. From what people might think. From what it might mean in the morning. She's scanning forward in time, looking for assurance that this won't end with her feeling used, stupid, or vulnerable in a way she can't take back. And if you're not tuned into that, if you think this is your cue to retreat or rationalize, you'll miss everything. What she needs isn't a lecture. She doesn't want you to say, don't worry, you won't regret. That's not what makes her feel safe. In fact, when you start trying to justify her feelings or fix them with words, you communicate the exact opposite of what she's looking for. She doesn't want you to manage the moment. She wants you to be present in it. The real play here, the masculine response, is steadiness, eye contact, soft tone, slow breathing. You don't need to say much. A subtle nod, a gentle, I hear you, maybe even just holding her hand or touching her waist, grounding her physically while she processes emotionally. That's the space she needs. Because what she's actually doing in this moment is asking you for leadership, not dominance, not pressure, not passivity. Leadership. She wants to feel that you're not carried away by the moment that you're holding it, guiding it without fear or need. Think about it. Most guys either get overly excited and rush ahead, which makes her feel unsafe, or they panic and back off, which makes her feel rejected. Neither option helps her trust the moment. But if you stay calm, if you show her you're not seeking approval, not flustered by hesitation, not demanding anything, just steady, she feels something deeper. She feels safe enough to let go of the hesitation and lean into the experience, because behind that one sentence, I don't want to regret this later, is a flood of questions she's not saying out loud. Will he still respect me in the morning? Will this shift the way he sees me? Will I look back and feel like I made a mistake? And most importantly, will I still feel valuable after this is over? That last one is huge because her value in this world is constantly under attack. She's taught to tie it to control, to saying no, to preserving mystery. And here she is feeling something powerful, something raw, something real, and considering letting it all go in one night. That's not light. That's not easy. And if you don't treat it with the gravity it deserves, you'll break the entire connection. Even if you say all the right things, this is where men with emotional intelligence win. Not because they manipulate, not because they charm, but because they understand. Her body might be ready, but her mind needs to know she's safe, seen, and not being judged. So give her that with stillness, with presence, with silence. Even let her see in your eyes that you're not here to use her. You're not going to vanish. You're not making this a transaction. You're grounded, intentional, in control of yourself, and more importantly, not looking for her to carry the emotional burden alone. That's when something changes. That's when she exhales, stops overthinking, and simply feels. That's when she steps across the line. Not because she was talked into it, but because she wants to fully, consciously, and without shame. And ironically, that's how you help her avoid regret. Not with words, but with energy. Not with logic, but with trust. If you've ever heard that line and froze, second-guessed yourself, or pulled away too soon, drop this in the comments. I felt that. Because once you learn how to hold moments like this with grace, you don't just change your dating life, you change the kind of man you are. And what that opens up next. You'll want to be ready. Number 8, let's just see what happens. When she says, let's just see what happens, she's not giving you permission. She's giving you a mirror. She's not locking the door, but she's not opening it wide either. She's signaling that she's in. If you can lead without rushing, this isn't hesitation, it's strategy. Control, surrender. Here's the trick. A woman saying this isn't indecisive. She already knows where this is heading. What she's doing now is gauging whether you'll ruin it by pushing too fast, overanalyzing, or demanding clarity. Because when she says, let's just see, what she really means is, I'm in this moment. I'm feeling this vibe. Don't mess it up. She wants to experience the connection without pressure, without defining it, without labeling it. And that's hard for most guys to handle because they either take it as a green light and push, or they back off thinking she's not sure. But here's what most men miss. Ambiguity is the most seductive state of all. It's the space where attraction simmers, where anticipation builds, where tension thrives. And when she says, let's just see what happens, she's inviting you to stay in that energy with her, to hold the tension, to ride the uncertainty without needing to resolve it. That's not easy because we're wired to want answers, to close the loop, to know where something's going. But here's the truth. The more secure you are, the less you need certainty in moments like this. You're not there to chase guarantees. You're there to lead energy. So what do? You lean back. Not literally, but emotionally. You stay calm. You stay grounded. You keep eye contact. You let her know without saying much that you're good with wherever this leads. Because you're not here for outcome. You're here for presence. This is where true masculine polarity shines. When she sees that you can hold the moment, that you're not needy for closure, that you're not trying to push her one way or another, that's when she trusts you, not just emotionally, but physically. Because safety doesn't come from predictability. It comes from consistency in your energy. It comes from knowing that you won't get weird, reactive, or needy. That's what keeps her curious. That's what keeps her leaning in. Let's just see what happens is the beginning of surrender. But only if she senses that you won't use that surrender against her. That's when something real starts to unfold, something she doesn't have to control. So don't ruin it by asking too much. Don't press for clarity. Don't overreact to the gray area. Just be still, be sure, be present. Let her explore the moment without pressure. Let the attraction breathe. Let the unknown work its magic. And if you've ever rushed moment like this and watched it slip away, drop it in the comments. I've done that because when you master this, when you know how to let the moment lead without needing to force it, everything about connection changes. And the level after this, it hits different. Number 9, her silence means everything. There's a moment, and you'll know it when it hits, where she doesn't say a word. No cute phrases, no nervous laughter, no questions to fill the space, just silence. And that silence, it's louder than anything she could have said. Most men panic here. They assume silence means discomfort, confusion, or disinterest. So they rush to fill the gap. They explain themselves. They start over-talking. They force humor. They ruin the very moment she was trying to feel. But here's the truth. Silence is a woman's way of checking your depth. She's watching how you hold stillness, how you carry tension, how you respond when there's no script to follow. If you need noise to feel comfortable, she knows you haven't met yourself in quiet. Because silence between a man and a woman is never just silence. It's energy, it's vulnerability, it's curiosity. Sometimes it's desire. And when a woman falls silent, especially after intense eye contact or after leaning in close, she's not retreating. She's watching. Watching your breath, watching your posture, watching your eyes, watching whether you stay present or start reaching. If you're confident, you'll welcome the pause. You'll let her silence stretch without needing to define it or shift it. You'll understand that moment is her dropping the mask. That's the moment she's closer to truth, not performance. And sometimes silence is how she invites you in. Because when she stops talking, she's feeling, she's processing. She's asking herself, can I trust him? Is he really here, or is he just trying to win? When she sees that you don't jump in, don't flinch. Don't fumble for approval. Her nervous system settles. She feels safe. She feels seen. And in that silence, attraction deepens. Without a word spoken, you don't need to fix silence. You need to feel it. You don't need to explain. You need to embody stillness, the ultimate flex. In a world full of noise, the man who doesn't chase sound, who knows how to hold a moment with nothing but calm energy, he's the one she remembers. So next time she goes quiet, don't ask what's wrong. Don't try to entertain her. Just meet her there. Let the air between you speak. Let presence say what words can't. Because that quiet, everything is revealed. If you've ever filled a moment with too much noise because silence scared you, say it in the comments. I've done that because the men who learn to lead in silence, they unlock a power that noise can never fake. And once you feel that shift, you won't go back. Number 10, don't overplay it. When the energy is high, when she's giving you signals, when the moment feels like it's building towards something real, that's when most guys blow it. Not by being too cold, not by walking away, but by overplaying it. You've probably seen this happen before. The chemistry is undeniable. The vibe is electric. She says something teasing, something suggestive, maybe even touches your arm. And instead of staying cool, grounded, and relaxed, the guy leans all the way in. He gets too eager. He takes the flirtation and ramps it up 10 notches, thinking that if a little interest is good, then more intensity must be better. But attraction doesn't work like that. Overplaying it kills the tension. It flips the energy from masculine control to performative energy, and women can feel that shift. What felt magnetic 1 second becomes suffocating the next. Why? Because attraction, real attraction, lives in restraint, in the unspoken, in potential. It's the space between the lines that creates desire, not the lines themselves. When you try too hard to seal the deal, you change the entire dynamic. You go from mystery to agenda, from presence to pressure, and nothing dries up desire faster than pressure. The irony is, most men overplay it after they've already won the room. They had her attention. They had the frame, but they couldn't handle the silence. They couldn't ride the wave of suspense without trying to force a conclusion. The stoic man, he knows better. He lets things unfold. He doesn't need a punchline. He doesn't need to prove he's dominant or sexy or experienced. His strength is in his lack of reaction. When the vibe builds, he doesn't explode. He holds. When she flirts, he plays, but never performs. He doesn't rush. He doesn't escalate unless the moment calls for it. He reads her, not just her words, but her tone, her body, her pace. He doesn't overinvest in one moment. He lets it breathe. Because the truth is, when you don't overplay it, she gets to fill in the blanks. She starts wondering more, imagining more, desiring more, and that's the secret. Not giving her everything, but just enough to leave her wanting more. It's like music. The best songs don't hit you over the head with sound. They use silence, timing, rhythm. The drop only lands hard when the tension before it is real. Same with attraction. You can't just blast her with energy and expect it to work. You've got to build something she can step into. And that requires you to hold your own center. So what does that look like in practice? It means when she gives you a sexy look, you don't immediately pounce. You meet it, hold it, maybe raise an eyebrow and say nothing. It means when she says something suggestive, you smile not because you're flattered, but because you already knew. It means when things are heating up, you don't rush to the finish line. You pace it. You slow it down on purpose. Because when you do that, you communicate. I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to experience this with clarity, with control, and without need. And that's unforgettable. So the next time you feel that pull to turn up the heat too fast, pause, breathe, stay grounded, let her feel that you're not chasing an outcome. You're just here fully. That's the move. If you've ever gone too far too fast and watched it backfire, drop it in the comments. I've done that because learning how to not overplay it is where your real power begins. And when you master that, every moment hits different. You've just unlocked 10 of the most powerful phrases a woman will say when she wants you, but doesn't want to look like she wants you. And if you were paying attention, you notice something deeper. This isn't about decoding words. It's about reading energy, holding presence, leading with calm masculine control even when the moment heats up. Most men blow it because they think attraction is about saying the right thing. But the men who win, they know it's about doing less and being more. So if this hit home, if it showed you what you've missed or reminded you of what you already knew, don't just scroll on, subscribe to the channel. This is where modern men sharpen the edge that makes them unforgettable. And if you're ready to go even deeper, if you're ready to join a real brotherhood of grounded, stoic, minded men who lead their lives with discipline, clarity, and power, then become a stoic member today. You don't need more noise, you need alignment. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.